And Randi Weingarten, I've got to say, she really did disgrace herself during the COVID era. Her desperation to keep schools closed for as long as possible, despite the fact that schools were open in much of the world, even places where there were lockdowns, and masking the smallest of kids, all sorts of measures that were just crazy, but the unions backed them strongly. Now, Trump has said that he wants federal education dollars to follow the student. Tell me what that would mean for parents.
Yeah, in the U.S., we have the U.S. Department of Education at the federal level provides about 8% of funding. It shouldn't exist at all. I mean, it was created in 1979 as a payoff from Jimmy Carter to the Teachers Union, the National Education Association. And in our Constitution, the word education does not exist. So the entire department is a violation of our 10th Amendment. It should be up to the states. Each of our states have state level departments of education. That's all you really need. And we also have local school boards as well. But Donald Trump fighting for school choice, you can also abolish the department. There's a bill while also passing a bill in Congress right now called the Educational Choice for Children Act. It's a tax credit where people can get their federal tax dollars back to be used for K through 12 education expenses. So it's not actually, federal public money following the student. It's people getting to keep more of their hard-earned tax dollars and using that for K through 12 education expenses. And you can also abolish the Department of Education at the same time. But we also have at the state level, there have been 12 states in the past 3 years that have passed universal school choice, having state dollars follow the child. And this is why Randi Weingarten's freaking out on stage. It's because we're winning so much. I'm almost getting tired of winning, Rita. We've had so much momentum in the past 3 years, more than we've had in the preceding 3 decades, because they fought to keep the schools closed. They upset parents who got to see what was happening in the classroom. And Vodi Bakum said it best: we cannot continue to send our children to Caesar for their education and be surprised when they come home as Romans. Well, parents aren't surprised anymore. They've woken up. They're never going back to sleep. And that could get Donald Trump into the White House in November because he's on the side of parents.
It is, like I said at the start, a huge issue for so many voters. Tell me about how much more is being spent on education and whether that's increased the academic results of the average student, because the spending seems to have exploded. You shared some data showing that around $20,000 is spent per student per year. That's 160%, more than 160% higher in real terms, inflation adjusted to what was being spent in 1970. But the results are dropping. Where is that money going? Is it all going to the bureaucracy, like that graph we just saw?
Yeah, exactly. The government school system has become more of a jobs program for administrators and adults as opposed to an education initiative for kids. Since 2000, enrollment for students only went up by about 5%. Administrative staffing increased by about 95%, about 14 times the amount of student increase. In places like Chicago, where they fought to keep the schools closed for 2 years here in Chicago, they've increased their staffing by 20% since 2019, but their student enrollment has decreased by 10%. And what other industry do you lose your customers to the tune of about 10%, and then you go on a hiring spree? That's because it's a monopoly, has no incentive to spend money wisely. But guess what? When you have school choice, when people can vote with their feet, take their money elsewhere, well, the providers of the service, the district schools, start to say, hey, maybe we should spend our money wisely. Maybe we should listen to the parents. And then that is a rising tide that lifts all boats. Competition improves the outcomes in our government schools when parents can take their money elsewhere. So this is a win-win solution.
Corey DeAngelis, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.